Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Sarraf and I will be presenting to you my summer CUSRA project which looked at the role of affective empathy in the relationship between narcissism and relational aggression. I will go over the background and methods of the study, then I will present to you the results and implications. Child and adolescent aggression often have negative social, academic, and psychological implications for both the aggressors and the victims. In general, aggression refers to any action done with the purpose of causing harm to others, and it can be physical, such as hitting, and non-physical, such as bullying and slandering. Towards the end of childhood, physical aggression generally decreases while indirect and relational aggression increases and peaks towards adolescence. This is manifested in an increase in behaviors aimed at damaging relationships and social status, such as peer group exclusion, friendship withdrawal threats, and rumor spreading. Given the negative impact that aggression may have on both the aggressors and the victims, it is important to gain a greater understanding of risk factors associated with youth aggression. As we will see next, two important risk factors for aggression are narcissism and lack of empathy. Narcissism generally includes a sense of superiority and entitlement, exploitativeness, and a need for admiration. Multiple studies have demonstrated that narcissistic individuals may become aggressive following rejection or negative feedback, known as reactive aggression, or for personal gain and to gain power, which is known as proactive aggression. In addition, narcissistic individuals may also lack affective empathy, meaning that they may be unable to experience the emotions and feelings of others. On the other hand, cognitive empathy may be spared or even increased in narcissists, which would suggest normal or better understanding of other people's thoughts and intentions. Besides narcissism, lack of empathy is also related to aggression. In 2014, Berry and colleagues further found that the association between narcissism and aggression was intensified by low empathy. On the other hand, high empathy, and especially affective empathy, has been identified as a protective factor in aggression. Taking these findings together, the purpose of the present research was to examine the following research questions. First, does narcissism predict relational aggression? Second, does narcissism predict affective empathy? Third, does affective empathy predict relational aggression? And fourth, does affective empathy mediate, at least partially, the association between narcissism and relational aggression? It is hypothesized that narcissism at time 1 positively predicts relational aggression at time 3, that narcissism at time 1 negatively predicts affective empathy at time 2, that affective empathy at time 2 negatively predicts relational aggression at time 3, and that affective empathy at time 2 mediates, at least partially, the relationship between narcissism at time 1 and relational aggression at time 3. In terms of methods, the study used a three-wave longitudinal design. The sample of the study consisted of school-age pre-adolescents with a mean age of 11.5, 155 girls and boys from 3 schools in Montreal and Quebec, Canada. Participants were assessed 3 times with approximately 2-month interval in between. In terms of measures, participants completed peer assessment questionnaires in which they indicated which of their same and other gender peers fit descriptions that were indicators of relational aggression, narcissism, and affective empathy. 3 items were used as indicators of narcissism. An example item is someone who is stuck up and thinks they are better than others even though they aren't. 3 items were used as indicators of relational aggression. An example item is someone who talks badly about others behind their backs to hurt them. 2 items were used as indicators of affective empathy. An example item is someone who comforts others when they are sad. A score was computed to index how many times each participant chose his or her peers for each of the items. Measures had acceptable reliability coefficients. The mediation analysis were conducted using Process version 3.5, Model 4 in IBM SPSS, and the model Gender, SES, Class, and Affective Empathy at time 1 were included as covariates. In other words, they were controlled for in the mediation analysis. In the first step of the mediation models, the total effect of narcissism on relational aggression was examined. For both same gender and other gender ratings, narcissism was a statistically significant positive predictor of relational aggression, as seen in the C path in Figure 1 and 2. In the second step of the mediation models, the effect of narcissism on affective empathy was examined. For both same gender and other gender ratings, narcissism was a statistically significant negative predictor of affective empathy, as seen in the A path in Figure 1 and 2. In the third step of the mediation models, the effect of affective empathy on relational aggression was examined. For both same gender and other gender ratings, affective empathy was not a statistically significant predictor of relational aggression, as seen in the B path in Figure 1 and 2. In the fourth step of the mediation models, the direct effect of narcissism on relational aggression while controlling for affective empathy was examined. For both same gender and other gender ratings, narcissism continued to be a statistically significant positive predictor of relational aggression following the inclusion of affective empathy. This can be seen in the C' path in Figure 1 and 2. In addition, for both same gender and other gender ratings, the indirect effect from narcissism to relational aggression through affective empathy was not statistically significant, and the 95% confidence interval included 0. Therefore, affective empathy did not mediate the relationship between narcissism and relational aggression. To recap, the first and second hypotheses of the current study are supported, since the results showed that narcissism at time 1 positively predicted relational aggression at time 3 and negatively predicted affective empathy at time 2. These results are consistent with previous findings, although this study further shows that this relationship also exists using a longitudinal design. On the other hand, the third hypothesis was not supported, since affective empathy at time 2 did not significantly and negatively predict relational aggression at time 3. The current finding is inconsistent with previous research showing that aggression is related to lack of empathy. However, in 2019, Platt also found that high levels of affective empathy were not associated with lower levels of relational aggression. In addition, the fourth hypothesis was not supported, since affective empathy did not mediate the relationship between narcissism and relational aggression. In other words, narcissistic individuals do not become relationally aggressive because they lack affective empathy. The current study has some limitations. First, peer report data may be subject to biases. Future studies may consider including self-reports, teacher reports, and interviews to yield a more comprehensive assessment. Second, a relatively short longitudinal design was used in this study. This may have been insufficient to detect strong relationships and to assess the long-term relations among variables. Future studies should employ longer longitudinal designs. Finally, the current study may lack generalizability across populations and cultures. Future studies should examine these hypotheses in more varied samples. It should also be noted that other factors such as social learning could contribute to the relationship between narcissism and aggression. Future research should investigate these factors. In conclusion, narcissism is a complex concept. Based on the current results, affective empathy does not seem to explain the relationship between narcissism and relational aggression among pre-adolescents. Therefore, efforts to increase affective empathy may not be an important target for reducing relational aggression among youth with narcissistic tendencies. Given that youth aggressive behavior is a major public health concern and can have profound health and psychological impacts, more comprehensive and conclusive future studies are needed to understand the distinct motivational, behavioral, and environmental mechanisms explaining the relationship between narcissism and aggression. These mechanisms would in turn inform theoretical models of narcissism and allow for more targeted and tailored interventions. Thank you so much for listening.